I just got in this $2,000 Batman statue, and I thought it was a good idea to assemble it and review it after about 20 beers. You know what? I wore my Batman shirt. I wore my Batman watch. It's not a Batman watch, it's a Lamborghini watch, which Batman would drive a Lamborghini. And I'm say to proud that not one thing was broken by me. We still filming? As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hello, my name is Mr. X, and welcome to the Extreme channel. You know, the nice thing about assembling and reviewing statues is it becomes muscle memory after a while. Look at my big muscles. So, did it start going the other way, or is that me? Anyway, this is Prime One Studios Dark Knight Metal Batman vs. Joker Draken Statue Deluxe. Deluxe, it's deluxe. It's the expensive one. So this is like a $2,000 statue. We're going to review this and do all the normal stuff we do. So, very excited to have this piece because I am all in the Dark Knight Metal line. So Prime One Studios is doing this run of statues on DC Dark Knight Metal, which if you're unfamiliar, here's a few other statues I've already received from them, and I have almost all of them on order. They are Batman from an alternate universe. So there's different versions of evil Batmans where he's like merged with Flash and the God of War Ares and Joker. So this one, I'm not quite sure the storyline of any of these actually. I've read a few of the comics. However, I do have the omnibus coming in a week from today, actually, or a week from tomorrow when I'm filming this. So I look forward to reading through all that shit. It's coming on my oldest son's birthday, the really tall one who's like 6'5" and he's like 14 years old. Ooh, there's a white speck on here. Mrs. X told me to get it off, and I didn't. But, you know, I decided that I should film this review and unboxing after a few beers because everybody and their mom has already filmed this. So I'm going to talk about why I got it so late. It's mostly due to lazy... Oh, son of a bitch, it started moving again. All right, so let's kick off the review, starting with concept. And what's cool about all these Dark Knight Metal pieces is they don't match at all, which actually isn't very cool. On the bottom, you have some type of cathedral-type churchy base, something like that. I don't know. You probably can't see any of it because the Joker dragon tail is blocking it. But it's there. Just trust me. You'll see it later in Paint and Sculpt. On top of it are some rocks because, you know, when statue makers can't figure out what to put on the base, they put rocks. But then you have the Joker dragon. So it's more of a Joker snake, in my opinion, because dragons have wings and legs, and this doesn't have any. It's just, you know, a snake wrapped all around. Don't get me wrong. It's cool as fuck, but... So, the Joker Dragon is going up to Batman, and he's in a very dynamic pose. We call this an action dynamic statue as opposed to museum. Joker Dragon, with his green mohawk, is jumping out, ready to bite Batman in some medieval armor. And you see stuff flowing everywhere, and he's ready to hack him with a hatchet. Did you ever read Hatchet when you were growing up? I did. That's a really cool story, by the way. But he's got a beard, long beard. I can't do that. I can't pull that off. But there's a few different switch-out options we're going to look at. But looks badass, looks cool, very dynamic. People have been calling this a Grail and a Statue of the Year, and I think it's too early to figure that out. But I definitely think it's a contender. Concept is incredibly cool. I really hope this is taken from some direct source material from the Dark Knight Metal storyline, which I'll find out in a few weeks when I get the omnibus. That's coming on my son's birthday, but I won't be here because I'm going to be in Jamaica, which, you know, makes me a bad Faja. But anyway, concept 5 out of 5. I think it's fantastic, very dynamic. It's a Joker dragon. Joker's cool, dragons are cool, Batman's cool. And again, I really hype. I hope it ties to the source material. If it doesn't, then I'd give the concept a 3 out of 5. So if someone knows, throw that down in the comments below. Design. You know, overall they did a really good job, a very elaborate piece. I had one broken, and it wasn't due to me. It came out of the box that way, and Mrs. X already fixed it. I don't even know where it's at. But let's look at the unboxing and assembly of this drunk. It's not drunk. First, editing this the very next day, you'd think I'd be embarrassed watching myself, but I'm not. So there's one of the boxes. They arrived like a week apart or 2 weeks apart from each other. So this box had kind of a hidden compartment in the foam on the top here, which I believe these are the deluxe pieces. Well, I guess some of them aren't. Some of them are, some of them aren't. And this was the broken piece right here that I was referring to. It was a little piece of the Mohawk hair. But this mainly had the base in it. Extremely big, extremely heavy. Then the other box finally showed up a few weeks later, and it was torn to shit, which wasn't surprising. Seems like the longer they have the box, the worse off it's going to be. So I was really worried about this one, but thankfully, despite all the damage on the box, there was actually no issues with it. So it was the same white foam with 2 different layers. Here's the first layer. You have some pieces that go to Batman and his armor and part of the snake. And then the second layer was Batman himself, the portraits, an arm, and more of the Joker Dragon. So really impressed how everything went together. There were all these warning signs on the instructions that Prime One provided me, and I didn't have to follow any of them. One issue I have, though, is there's this little wire or rope or whatever you want to call it, thread, that's supposed to go into the plate on his chest right here. I don't like this. It's in my way. I didn't attach it the way they told me to. But otherwise, everything else fits really well. So you have a number of You have a number of display options depending on whether you bought the regular or the deluxe. As I said, this is the deluxe because that's how I roll. Alright, so there's 3 different portraits. The regular version, or all versions, come with this screaming, kind of normal Batman portrait. Not really normal because he's armored, but I really like this. It's probably my favorite. And it comes on all the versions of statues. If you get the deluxe, you have the bearded version. And then the one with the closed mouth, which I think is stupid. I put that right back in the box. His left arm, 3 switch out options. The regular version is just this axe right here. So you have 2 axes, one on the right, one on the left. Or you can do a normal hand, which is just stupid. Again, this is a deluxe only. And then you have a torch. Now the cool thing about the torch here, it actually lights up using 2 AAA batteries. So those are the different display options. Everything fit really well. You know, I would imagine there'd be some seam lines on the Joker Dragon, but I can't even find where they're at. I'm sure they're somewhere. This is a heavy motherfucker too. I'm not going to try and move it today. And if you want to see where he's going to go in my collection, I'm really excited because I'm changing everything. I am doing a room tour in like a month or so you can subscribe and hit that bell notification for that. But if you don't want to wait, I'll do a video on TikTok or Instagram or something like that. Extreme Channel social media, the link for those is in the description as well. So lots of cool display options. And the way he displays, you know, I think this is nice. You can display up high or low and a lot of different good angles with this. So I think the design's done very, very well in my opinion. I think it's a very solid 4 out of 5. One could argue it could be a 5 out of 5 on the design. Now, Paint and Sculpt, Prime One Studio, who made this statue, they're very good with DC 1/3 scale pieces. That's kind of their bread and butter, if you will. They do not miss. This is not an exception. You know, unfortunately, I always like to have fresh thoughts on the statue, but Gem Mint took me to his house, locked me up, and tied me up, and forced me to look at all kinds of weird shit, including this statue. So I already saw this a few weeks ago, but it's still phenomenal on every single level. So let's dive into the paint and sculpt of this giant 1/3 scale statue. And as a reminder, Cody Spencer would tell you 1/3 scale means 3 times larger, smaller, 3 times smaller than a regular size version. So like Joker Dragon in real life, he's 3 times bigger, which that would be a design thing, which we already talked about. This is paint and sculpt. Here, look at the paint and sculpt. And there's some mixed media too, which we'll talk about that. So before we get started, I'm going to look at 2 things. One is the portraits. I already put the portrait with the closed mouth back in the box, but I do like this Screaming portrait. Again, as a reminder, this comes with all the different pieces. There's some battle damage to it. I really like how they incorporated a Batman's traditional suit, almost like medieval armor, and you're going to see that all over. There's some intricate design, because remember, he's still rich, so he wants to fancy himself up. Some chainmail. The skin texture could have been done better. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. I mean, you got to remember, these are fantasy creatures, and this is a fantasy version of the fantasy creature. That makes sense to me, but maybe not to you. Next thing I want to look at, and we'll look at this portrait in a little bit, is the cape. So not a fan of the mixed media cape. I do appreciate from a design standpoint, if they had done a sculpted cape, this thing would have weighed over 120 pounds. So that was definitely a smart way to do it. And it has kind of this, warm fur on the top. Ooh, nice. Mrs. X would like that. It's damaged below. It's a normal mixed media cape. I mean, it's nowhere as good as Taskmaster from Sideshow. If you want to know about that, ask Gem Mint. He absolutely loves it. So a very Batman style base. Like I said, it's almost like a church cathedral. It has kind of a mix between the greens and grays and blacks on the bottom. It's fine. Of course, you're not really looking at it. Prime One usually does a good job with rocks. This is not an exception. They did another great job here. It's appearing a little more green, maybe because of the different highlights that are going on, but the perfect amount of texture. It looks like real rocks between the paint and the sculpt. So very impressed. Batman will do the Joker Dragon last. Looks great. Like I said, the armor throughout. You see some highlights of the Batman, like the spikes on the gauntlets that always look really cool, but it's mixed with medieval armor, a mix of kind of that fur, and then the interlocking gloves and the fingers. Some blood on the axes as well, both this one and the one I'm not displaying, that he has done some damage to the Joker Dragon that you're going to see in a little bit. So I think that's really cool. I always love the layering. Prime One Studios does a great job with leather belts and pouches. Again, you can really see it here. It looks like real pouches and belts. Apparently he has a water bottle. Probably doesn't stay cold because it's not the coldest water bottle. Some of you will get that, some of you won't. Again, a mix of mixed media. Mixed media is fabric, so non-sculpted. So again, more fur right here. Then his loin cloth right here is fully sculpted, but again, it's kind of this layering of leather type texture, and you can see the layering on the armor as well. So with Batman, I think there's a little too much purple in the armor, in my opinion, but it still looks good. I would have gone more blue because you see so much purple in the Joker Dragon. And then again, that really intricate detail. So here's the beard. The beard looks great. Really impressed with that. Looks like a real beard, and it's fully sculpted, so I think that's pretty cool. The flames, it's a translucent resin that turns into a non-translucent resin, kind of the black smoke coming out. Looks fantastic. So he has the torch kind of help him see and guide his way. So they did a great job on Batman, but they did an even better job on Joker. So they had, I thought purple was one color, but they proved me wrong. Look at this. The dragon is wrapped around his foot. That's pretty cool. And there's so many different shades of purple, from the top of these spiky fins to the underbelly of it, and I just really like this. There's a little bit of a moist effect, and then they mixed in some blues with it. And then as you get closer to the top, almost kind of this white, which you really need with Joker because he has that traditional clown makeup. but kind of, and then here's some of the battle damage we looked at earlier. Great job on the blood. This part right here, I don't know what it is, but it's cool as fuck. He does have the traditional green hair. These strands look great. They're a little modded together, but nothing I can't get over. And then you see that on the tail, the very end of the dragon. So the dragon mixes all around multiple times. You get that? And again, more of that cool shit. I don't know what it is, but it's cool as hell. Some spikes, horns coming out. These could have been done a little bit better, but nothing I'm losing sleep over. But the money is in that portrait. Look at that. Look at the eyes and the teeth and the gums and the red blood and the tongue and the teeth. Moist effect right here. This is the money. The absolute money on this statue. They did an absolutely amazing job. And you know, Prime One Studio has done quite a few pieces that have kind of a serpent or snake type. They have the Sonya, which I've never seen in person. I do have the Wonder Woman vs. Hydra on order. But wow, absolutely wow on that. Look at all the detail. Look at the different colors intermixed in here. Impressive on so many different levels. Sculpt and paint, Prime One never disappoints, and they even stepped it up level for the most part on this piece. All right, so sculpt. Phenomenal. Always phenomenal. They do such an amazing job on it on so many levels. It's a 5 out of 5. I think maybe a weak 5 out of 5. Paint. Oh, paint's tough on me. So some of the areas we looked at were really good and some were amazing. Some were average. I think it's also a weak 5 out of 5. I think one could make an argument for a strong 4 out of 5, but then we're just splitting hairs. Have you ever split a hair? You know what we do when we're in the swimming pool? So when my wife or my daughter, you know, a long piece of hair comes out, we go up and we try and strangle someone with a piece of hair. It's kind of fun, but it doesn't work. Hashtag, thanks for that extra special glimpse in my life. I would have wrote it below, but that's a long hashtag. So value. They made 800 of these. 600 are the version that I have here. 200 are the regular version, which were like $1,560. This was a couple $100 more, like $1,770, $1,780, something like that. Plus you pay a couple $100 extra in shipping. Now I actually got mine from Comic Concepts. I didn't get it from Sideshow or Prime One. I love to go to Comic Concepts. Josh Gordon is the fucking man. I was trying to think of something else about him, but I'm not like sleeping with him or anything, but he is the man. I love Comic Concepts. I get a lot of Prime One Studios pieces from them. Definitely check them out. There's a non-affiliate link in the description below. And I like them because they're a little bit cheaper, and generally, while shipping is sometimes slower through them, you get a better price shipping. And I know the statue is going to come eventually, so I don't care if I'm first or not to get it. While I wait, I can have more beers. But anyway, that's a lot of money. So typically, when I started collecting, a 1/3 scale statue of like just Batman would be like $7.99. So this is $1,000 more, but you almost have two characters in this. I think this is a really good deal. So I think the Dark Knight Metal line is going to get more and more popular, not only due to statues. You know, Prime One Studios is doing this 1/3 scale line. XM Studios is doing a 1/4 scale line. But it's just going to get more and more popular. And then if it ever hit the DCU, it would absolutely explode. Which, who knows what's going to happen with the DCU moving forward. I think the value is still a 4 out of 5, even though you're paying a couple $1,000s for this statue. Now, does this have the X factor? Is this a 5 out of 5 statue? You know, I'm going to be very honest with you. I have the Batman Who Laughs that you saw the picture of earlier. I like that better. This is still really good. It didn't disappoint. I think it's still a 5 out of 5 statue. So X factor is, does it impress you? Is it kind of wow when you walk in? Yes, I'm impressed. Yes, it's very wow. I'm definitely a fan of the statue. So big thanks to Comic Concepts. I really appreciate it. Again, guys, please check them out. I don't get anything if you click on the link. They're just very good to go to for Prime One Studio and other statues. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this better than the other pieces I've received? I am getting all the other pieces, again, from Comic Concepts. I love to go to them for Prime One Studio pieces. Does it sound like I'm kind of whoring myself out? I do that when I drink, but I would still do it for Josh at Comic Concepts. Throw that down in the comments below. I love to read your comments, and you could win a statue. Not this one. This one's staying here for a long fucking time. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Hey, thanks for hanging in there with me. If you're impressed that I assembled this with no breakages and I was drunk, give me a like. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe because I have tons of cool shit like this and all the other stuff I asked you to do.